Okay, you can start, Katero.
Okay. So the study assessed 12 selected SMEs drawn from different sectors, including retail, transport and logistics, hospitality, construction, waste management, financial services, and personal care. Overall, the findings show that financial accounting and reporting practices among the selected SMEs are mixed. A few SMEs such as Asho Financial Services, Paperclip Trading Limited, Crown and Spectra Limited, and to some extent Chete Transport demonstrate relatively strong financial management systems, better compliance, and more structured use of accounting information. However, the majority of the SMEs still rely on simple manual records, Excel spreadsheets, and financial and informal reporting practices. Sorry, I'm unable to see clearly. So this confirms that while basic record keeping exists in many SMEs, formal accounting and reporting remain underdeveloped in most cases. So I don't know who's going to start first with the first question.
We can take it up from here.
Okay.
So amongst the questions that were asked, one of them was to identify financial accounting records and reporting practices used by our selected SMEs. And looking at what we have done so far is we managed to find SMEs that both practice accounting on an everyday basis and those that do not. So the simplest businesses such as Gloria Hair Salon and Bungwe, these keep minimal records such as notebooks, cash records, and receipts. However, other SMEs such as Shank's City Mateweto Bar and Restaurant, Chete, Hichi Enterprise, L-Twin Solutions, and Urban Rendezvous use spreadsheets and other manual records to record their accounting practices. Then there are also other more advanced SMEs, especially Asho Financial Services and Paperclip Trading, that use accounting software such as QuickBooks and Sage. And I think this has maintained broader records, including ledgers, reconciliation, and full financial statements. In terms of reporting practices, the most common report prepared was the income statement, of course, coming from Asha Financial Services and Paperclip. And most, like I mentioned earlier, most of them did not prepare any financial statements. And in several cases, statements were prepared only when required for tax submission or interview rather than on a regular monthly basis. This means that most SMEs had only partial financial reporting, which limited completeness and reliability of financial information available to management. So in a case where businesses are not practicing accounting, sometimes it's very difficult to make decisions and plan in case they need to borrow. That becomes a challenge. So that's the end of my question one. Somebody else to take it up from there.
Okay, I'll pick it up from there.
Okay.
Thank you. So one of the questions that we tackled as well was the assessment of applications of basic accounting principles and assumptions in financial recording, keeping, and reporting. The finding shows that going concern assumptions was mostly widely applied. Most SMEs prepared records on understanding that the business could continue operating in the near future. The business entities principles was business banks accounts, separate business records such as Ashore Financial Services, more informal SMEs such as Gloria Hair Salon and some sole trader businesses, and personal instruction was weekly applied across the SMEs. A large number of businesses recorded transactions when the cash was received or paid. Approach was seen in Bungo Clothing, Gloria Hair Salon, Shang City Mateweto, CC Production, and Eben Rendezvous, among others. Only a few businesses such as Ashore Financial Services, Crown, and Skepta Limited showed strong alignment with accrual accounting. Consistency was also uneven. Some SMEs used the same accounting methods from year to year, while others changed methods or had no formal policy. Prudence was generally weak as SMEs followed updates informally but did not make provisions for doubtful debt depreciation. Historical cost was partly applied where assets, stocks, record purchase price, and often without proper valuation depreciation schedules. Overall, the study showed a partial rather than full application of basic accounting principles and assumptions across the selected SMEs. The next colleague can proceed.
So the next part is compliance by the SMEs with basic accounting standards and regulatory requirements. Compliance was strongest in relation to basic legal and tax registration. Most of the selected SMEs were registered.
Cut you short, Kombe. You don't have your video on.
Yeah. Yeah, this video of mine. Okay, let me try it again.
Okay.
Hold on. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yes, we
Is it
can.
on?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so let me start again. Compliance by the SMEs with basic accounting standards and regulatory requirements. So compliance was strongest in relation to basic legal and tax registration. Most of the selected SMEs were registered with PACRA and many were registered with ZRI. Some businesses prepared financial reports for tax submission, which shows at least basic awareness of regulatory obligations. However, compliance with formal accounting standards such as IFRS for SMEs was generally low. Many SME owners were not aware of IFRS for SMEs or any formal accounting framework, and several businesses did not engage an accountant or tax consultant. The study also reveals that VAT registration status varied, but in several cases, non-registration was not necessarily non-compliance because turnover had not reached the required threshold. Still, the broader compliance problem was that most SMEs did not prepare standard compliant financial statements. As a result, they may meet basic registration requirements, but remain weak in financial reporting compliance. Stronger compliance was observed in Ashore Financial Services, which showed high awareness of standards and regulations, and in some formal companies such as Paperclip Trading, Crown, and Skepta, and Chete Transport, which had better professional support and more structured systems. By contrast, businesses such as Gloria's Hair Salon and Hichi Enterprises showed low compliance, especially in tax reporting, IFRS awareness, and formal reporting. So I don't know if someone else will take over from with the next stage, which is the assessment of how financial statements are prepared and used in decision making.
I can take it up from there. So for my question is, it's assessment of how financial statements were prepared and used in decision making. So the study showed us that some financial statements or summaries were prepared, and they were mainly used for determining profit, pricing goods and services, controlling costs, planning and budgeting, as well as supporting tax reporting. For example, we had Chete Transport, which used records which use records to monitor repair and fuel costs per bus and decide transporting prices. Then we had Shaggy City Marathon, which used its income statement to identify fast-moving drinks and adjust purchases according to, and also adjust its prices. They also had Zone Say B2 delivery, which used monthly summaries for prices, delivery services, profit sharing, and planning for additional drivers. Then we also had paperclip trading and Crown Sculpture, which used financial information for broader strategic decisions, including capital expenditure investment analysis, which they used to apply for their profitability review, and then the liquidity management and growth planning, as well as loan applications. However, the overall pattern shows that most SMEs use financial statements mainly for short-term operation decisions rather than long-term strategic planning. This is largely because the statements prepared are incomplete, irregular, and informal, where only cash records or single statements are available. Most owners of the businesses estimate profit or manage day-to-day records as single statements that are available. Then owners also estimate they estimate profit or manage day-to-day costs, but they can't fully access the liquidity, the assets, the liabilities, or long-term business performance. Therefore, the usefulness of financial statements in decision making remains limited, and many SMEs, because of underlying record keeping systems, are weak and incomplete.
I'll continue from
I
here.
don't know if I should or somebody else will take it up from there.
Take it up from here. So under the evaluation of challenges that were faced by SMEs in financial accounting, record keeping, and reporting. So a number of recurring challenges were identified across the selected SMEs, and the biggest challenge that was found to be among the SMEs that were under this study was a lack of knowledge. So there's a serious knowledge gap that exists when it comes to financial accounting, record keeping, and reporting. And also a lack of accounting software. So those that are aware of what they're supposed to do lack that software, and also the cost of hiring a professional accountant, limited staff capacity. There was also, under the study, we also found that there was poor record keeping habits and irregular updating records among the SMEs. Many owners handled accounting responsibilities themselves, which they created. And also, it was found that there were manual systems that were in place in these enterprises, as well as an over-reliance on Excel, which created errors, delays, and weak internal control. There was also low awareness of accounting standards meant for many SMEs. Produced records that were useful only for internal purposes and not for formal reporting. Then some other challenges also came in as sector specific. An example is retail and hospitality businesses, which often struggled with stock control and stock valuation. For businesses in the transport and logistics sector, they faced issues such as vehicle cost tracking, depreciation, credit control, while informal businesses such as Gloria's Hair Salon faced the most severe problems, including no formal registration, no proper statements, and mixing of personal and business finances, and generally just the inability to access formal finance. The stronger ones still faced growth-related challenges such as software upgrade costs. Others faced challenges when it came to staff training needs, the need for better forecasting. So all in all, this evidence suggests that financial reporting challenges in SMEs are not only technical, but they are also resource related and capacity related. Someone can take it over from me.
Okay,
Can take it up from there.
okay.
Some of the recommendations of practical improvements for financial reporting and reporting table for SME recommendations that arose from the consolidated findings in the SMEs should move from informal and fragmented system towards simple but structured accounting systems. So every SME may list a proper cash book, invoices, receipts, expense records, and whatever relevant stock records, data schedules, and act registers. Also, the businesses should open and use business bank accounts so that the businesses business entity principle is properly applied and records become easier to verify. Also, the SMEs should adopt affordable accounting software or list structured Excel templates, low-cost tools such as Sage, QuickBooks, web, or simplified digital templates, which can reduce manual error and improve report preparation. The SMEs should prepare basic monthly financial statements as a minimum for income statements, cash flow statements, and cost statements of financial change. Monthly reporting would improve timely and help management respond earlier to losses, rising costs, or cash shortages. Also, SME owners should receive basic bookkeeping
Are we able to get Frida?
No,
I
I
think
think
she's
Frada's lost connectivity. You can take it up from there though.
Okay, so fourthly, SME owners and staff should receive basic bookkeeping and financial reporting training through institutions such as Zika, Teveta, ZRA workshops, or business support programs. Fifthly, where possible, SMEs should engage part-time accountants, interns, or periodic professional viewers. Let me just admit her in. Okay. Viewers instead of waiting until they can afford a full-time accountant. Finally, SMEs should strengthen compliance by ensuring proper PACRA and ZRA registration, understanding tax obligations, and gradually aligning their reporting practices with IFRS for SMEs or the simplified standards suitable for micro and small entities in Zambia. These improvements should make the financial information more accurate, useful, and credible for decision making, tax compliance, and future business growth. So, can we scroll down, or maybe that's the end of the group presentation? So, in conclusion, the consolidated findings show that the selected SMEs in Zambia operate with different levels of financial accounting maturity. A few SMEs already demonstrate strong practices in record keeping, compliance, and use of financial statements, while the majority still rely on informal, manual, and incomplete systems. The strongest common finding is that the SMEs generally appreciate the importance of financial information, but many lack the systems, skills, and resources required to produce reliable and standard compliant reports. The most urgent needs across the group are better bookkeeping skills, greater use of affordable accounting software, more regular preparation of financial statements, and stronger compliance with accounting and tax requirements. If these practical improvements are implemented, SMEs will be better able to control costs, measure performance, make informed decisions, and position themselves for sustainability and growth. I think that's the end of the group task.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the consolidated
And so the
reports from
next part,
everyone.
yeah, just make sure the recording is being recorded.
Let me check. Looks like it is. Let me stop it and see what will happen.